All right, guys, I told you I'd make a video and tell you what happened. Happened last night, you know. It actually happened. Before I get started, I wanted to show y'all something. You know, I said, let's make a video. I'm taking a slight break here. Made no money on the shrimp boat, so I'm gonna have to hit the highway again. I'm already breaking out my Windex and paper towels. All right, so be it. So be it. It's okay, man. If this is what the good Lord wills, so be it. Anyway, I wanted to show y'all something. Hey, look, man, before I make this video, I want to show y'all, because only here in Florida can you really see this sort of thing. It's a turtle orgy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 in the waiting. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already doing it, and then you got 2 more in the waiting. So I guess the turtle up at the top there, that must be the prostitute. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys right in line, and then you know, 2 in the wings waiting. Well, that's a Florida turtle orgy. You know, I just thought y'all should see that. I'm not sure why, but I just thought it would be cool. You know, what's not cool about an orgy, right? There was a whole gaggle of cops. Look, some of them are still over here. Over there. See him over there? Yeah, here a few minutes ago, it was a circus, a caravan. I snuck over here to the side of the building, was watching the turtle orgy, because I'm not gonna hang around with cops, you know. All right, so let me tell you what happened, man. Man, we were slaying the shrimp, guys. I mean, you know, that boat right now is just loaded with shrimp, and all of them headed. I pulled all their little heads off. Oh, I just, you know, probably a ton of it, you know. Pop, 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 you know, because I can do it two-handed, you know. We were done, you know. Like, we couldn't fill it. We ran out of ice to cover them with. All right, you know, let's go sell this shit, you know. And on the way back in, because we were way offshore, I mean, you know, we're a good 5 miles, you know, offshore, you know, we were way out there. And all of a sudden the generator quits, you know. Without generator, nothing else around that boat. But my captain, he is really good, man. He is really, really good, this guy. You know, I hope he doesn't think that I brought him bad luck. But I don't think so. I think bad luck follows this guy around, you know. But anyway, you know, the generator out, but he got it going again, you know. We get going, and then all of a sudden the motor, you know, starts overheating, and he lost oil pressure, and then the motor quits, you know, and it just turned into just this huge fiasco, man, you know, and we were dead in the water, man. We were in a real bad storm, too, man. I mean, the weather was rough, man. The seas were, you know, inshore, you know, the waves were, you know, 2 to 3 feet, but where we were at, man, they were like 6, 8 feet, man. It was... And we're trying to fix all this shit, with no power, you know, trying to do it all flash right, you know, and there was a mad minute, man, a mad minute. Sure was. But we had all that shrimp, and we were about to let it go. Finally, you know, we couldn't get nobody to come tow us in or nothing, man. The poor guy. I really feel for my captain right now, but he's a good dude, man. I mean, this guy, you know, he's gonna fix it. He's gonna fix it. He will. And I'll talk about him more later, man. I will. I'm just trying to tell you what happened, and I'll talk more about the captain later, okay? Because he's a really good dude. I like this guy. I'll stick around if he lets me, you know. So you know, we found ourselves in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, he calls the Coast Guard, and he didn't know what else to do, man. And he tried to get him to help us pull us in. And of course the Coast Guard comes, whatever, and they're like, well, we're not going to pull you in with all the outriggers down, and we can't do that, it's not safe, but we'll take you ashore. And he come to me and I said, hey man, do you want to go ashore with the Coast Guard? I'm like, no, I got like 1,000 pounds, the biggest fucking load I ever caught in my life, that I've headed every single shrimp. And you think I'm just going to walk away from that? You got any paddles? Of course he was like, you know, You can't paddle in this. I can. You know, we're carnies. You know, we can do anything. You know. Anyway, he finally says, "Captain's decision. We're abandoning the ship. We're going to go into the Coast Guard, and we'll come back. And you can go do whatever you want." I'm like, "I'm not going anywhere than 3 or 4 feet of you, man, because you have all my shrimp." And you know, so the Coast Guard brought us back into shore. And this guy, this captain of mine, man, he moved fast. You know, he sure did, man. And he got lucky too, man. Because at first I was like, maybe we should pray to God. And he's like, "No, I don't have time for that." Nah. So you know what, guys? I prayed to God for him. And me too. Because I was like 2 feet behind him the whole way, man. I'm like, me and this guy, we're going to need God, you know, God, you know. He was thinking of how to fix everything, you know, and I was like, "God, you know, fix this, you know, fix it, man." And God did. He got us back to shore, and, you know, this guy was like, you know, "Everybody I know that come help me, you know, it'll be Monday before we get help, But we found this guy. We get back to the dock. The Coast Guard dropped us off at St. Augustine. We had to walk back to the dock, like over a mile, with his dog. Poor dog. I felt sorry for the dog. I'll show you Miss Lucy later. Anyway, you know, we get back to the docks, whatever, and there was this guy, you know, who said, "Yeah, I'll help you, you know. Because at first we did get a little bit of help from this one guy. We even had to cut the anchor, you know, because we set our anchor out, you know, but once we lost power, we couldn't winch the anchor back in. We had no power, you know, and so this shrimp boat that helped us, they did the best they could. They did the best they could, bless their hearts, you know, but they were just too small to pull us, you know. This boat's it's made out of steel, you know, it's like 50 feet long, you know, it's heavy. It's a tugboat with shrimp nets on it. It's basically what it is. And, you know, so the guy said, I'm gonna have to cut y'all loose. And luckily, you know, we made a makeshift anchor, but it didn't work, you know, and we just kept getting dragged out. You know, we kept, you know, the wind and the weather was so bad. I mean, the waves were like 8 feet, man. Some of them were higher than that. I mean, it was, you know, it was bad. Finally, the captain breaks down and calls the Coast Guard, you know, and the Coast Guard come in and they're like, "Well, we'll rescue you, but we ain't rescuing the boat." Of course, you know, the captain told me, he says, "This is the hardest decision I've ever made in my life, but we're getting off this boat, man, because otherwise we're going to drift out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean." I'm like, "Yeah, but there'll be plenty to eat. And if it rains, we'll have plenty of water." And he's like, No, we're not carnies here, you know. And he, you know, he was, "So, all right, you know, you're the captain. If you say we get off, we get off. You know, it's your boat if you tell me to get off, you know. Even though some of those shrimp are mine, you know, fuck it, you know." Should have made some video of that boat ride but they wouldn't let me use my camera on their boat, pussies. Anyway, we made it back to the shore. We found a guy. We went back out there. We got a brand new anchor. Badass one, and this guy took us out there and we rigged it. And I tell you what, man, I should have got video of that, but I just couldn't because, you know, it was just too dangerous for me to pick up a camera. Just too dangerous. You know, it was more important that we rescue the boat and my captain, because if the boat sinks or he loses it, I'm out of a job, you know. So, you know, I held the best I could, you know, and cameras were not the thing to be doing then and there, you know. But we secured the boat. Now it's still out there with my shrimp. It's still out there. The captain's taking a nap right now. Of course, I don't have that luxury to go to a home and lay down in a bed, so I've decided to come over here to I-95 and try to make some money, because this guy might need it to get that boat back into shore. So I'm going to do my best, because we're going to hang around here in St. Augustine, and, you know, this guy was good enough to me to... Well, you know, that's kind of the story, man. You know, we just got in a lot of trouble. We did rescue the boat. It is secure. We hope it's still secure. There's no way to tell from here, because it's like 8 miles that way. It's like 5 miles that way, and then 3 miles that's like 8 miles away. And the water was treacherous. Now it will clear up. Now we may go after it again tonight. You know, that's the word going around. He you know, the guy that helped us today, that he may, you know, if things can go well, you know, we'll go after it again tonight. Otherwise, it could be Monday, you know, before we could go after this thing, you know, with somebody with a real boat to pull it. Because this boat it's heavy. It's made out of steel. It's like 50 feet long, you know. And anyway, that's the story, guys. You know, everybody lived. The good Lord has blessed us all. Those shrimp are still on the boat. We got a pile of it, man. And it's like right now, man, that boat right now is salvage, man. If anybody comes along and finds that boat, they can just take whatever they want off it because it's abandoned. You know, abandoned ship. You know, it was said, man, abandoned ship. So that makes it salvage. So whoever can get out there first is going to get all the shrimp. So my captain's on a mission. I hope he wins. I told him I you know, I usually don't keep my phone on. I always keep my phone on that, what do you call it, the do not disturb, you know, and I said, but I'll turn it off, you know. He goes, well, I'm going to get some rest, so it'll be a little while before I call you. I'm like, all right, boss, you know, I'm going to keep exploring the town. I got things I got to do anyway, and I have a sleeping disorder, so don't worry about me. And I rode out here to I-95. It's a little bit of a trip, but I'm really liking this neck of the woods in St. Augustine. It's kind of out of a lot less homeless people. So we might hang out around this neighborhood. We're exploring it right now, you know. You know, I'm just waiting for the captain to call me back and say, all right, we're going for it, you know, and then I'll go back after that boat again. So the adventure is not over. The boat is not sunk. Everybody came home alive, and that boat has a ton of shrimp on it, man. At least 2,000 pounds, at least a ton of shrimp. And if we don't get it, it's all going to go to waste. So we're working hard here. There isn't much I can do, you know. You know, I'm just going to keep going with, you know, plan A for now. You know, plan B works out, that'd be great. You know, I don't know, this guy could be out of business. I don't know. I'm not, you know, I don't know, man. I'll give more information about my captain if he survives this, you know. I survived it. Whether he'll survive it, I don't know. We'll see. I will keep you in the loop. And remember what I always say, guys. Love the one you're with. Love the one you're with, because you never know when the end of the world is coming, and when it does come, the person standing next to you may be the only person you can love that's left. So love the one you're with. And I'll call you guys later. That's the story, whatever. You know, we had abandoned ship, but we got it back. We rescued it, and it's secure. Now the trick is to get it back on land with all that shrimp. Love the one you're with. I'll call you later, man.